CBS 6 News starts now.
Tonight, every crucial cast vote.
So get up! Let's take back this country.
Every secure delegate.
The door is open. Come on in.
One step closer to the White House.
My name is Elizabeth Warren, and I'm the woman who's going to beat Donald Trump.
Team coverage tonight from the battle on Super Tuesday.
The war for the Bay State. I'm JT Fetch standing by in Massachusetts as Senator Elizabeth Warren fights to keep her home state.
Feeling the burn in Vermont. I'm Steve Majiri standing by after it didn't take long for Bernie Sanders to bring home his home state.
But first tonight, a burst of heavy rain and winds has impacted parts of the capital region. Steve's up first tonight to let us know where the weather is now and when we'll be in the clear. Steve?
All right, Liz, yeah, between roughly 9:30, 10:30 down the Mohawk Valley into the capital region, some gust reports of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Sprakers, Amsterdam, Schenectady over to Troy with a 40-plus mile per hour wind gust. Watch the line on radar here. It's been moving through very, very quickly. Most of us are now in the clear, but if you were in southern Vermont and the northern Berkshires, the line segment responsible for all the trouble is now just south of Bennington, moving through the Pownell area. It's just east of Berlin in Rensselaer County and just northwest of Stephentown. Still clipping off to the east at about 50 miles per hour, and still, it looks pretty impressive on radar. Still a potential this could be putting out winds, perhaps in excess of 50 miles per hour in some gusts. Moving over to Cherry Plain at 11:01, Williamstown very shortly at 11:04, North Hancock 11:07, North Adams 11:10, Adams at 11:16, and Whittingham at 11:20, Savoy at about 11:26. Again, that is the line segment that has had a history of producing some strong wind and potentially still could do so as it moves across southern Bennington and northern Berkshire County over about the next 15 to 20 minutes. Otherwise, we're in the clear, but cooler, windy air will continue to come in overnight tonight, so I'll be looking at that and what could end up being a little bit of snow for us maybe by the very end of the week. So that's coming up in the next few minutes. Liz.
A dramatic ending to an interesting day. Thank you, Steve. And as the clock struck 11, the Super Tuesday polls now all closed in each state casting ballots. The race for president is growing a little clearer tonight. At last check, former Vice President Joe Biden is projected to win 8 states. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders projected to win 4. CBS 6 has comprehensive team coverage. Now, several storylines to track this evening. The escalating battle between the two frontrunners, Vice President Joe Biden and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Then the first test on the ballot for former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and the fight by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren just to stay alive. Our team coverage begins tonight in Warren's home state, where CBS 6's JT Fetch is standing by live in Pittsfield. JT, I know it's a miserable night out there. How are things at the polls? What can you tell us?
Well, good evening to you, Liz. We are here in downtown Pittsfield, just in front of City Hall, and just within the last 15 or so minutes, we got some breaking news here in Massachusetts. The Associated Press is able to make a call in the primary here since the polls closed at 8 o'clock. Now here at 11:03, we can project that Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, who has had a big night so far, as you mentioned, will win the Massachusetts primary. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders will finish in second place. And the home state senator, Elizabeth Warren, in third place tonight, but will still pick up some of the delegates available here. And as we mentioned, this is Super Tuesday, and Massachusetts is just one of 14 states that went to the polls. Senator Elizabeth Warren voted here in her home state this morning before speaking in Michigan tonight. Polls showed it would be close between her and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. The polls opened at 7 a.m., closed at 8 p.m. Massachusetts has 91 pledged delegates. More than 1,300 are up for grabs on Super Tuesday. From North Adams to Pittsfield, we spoke with election officials and voters, including a first-time voter, to find out the turnout and the top issues.
I'd say right now we got probably a moderate count coming in, 28.6%, I think I figured at the last count. Probably a little less than I expected, but for a primary, pretty good.
This president's it's been a wild ride here, you know. Immigration and, the economy. Turnout has been a little bit slow, but granted, I don't know what the rest of the city looks like, but we're at about 15% right now.
For my family, I'd say healthcare and college student loan debt, personally.
So again, as we can report, the Associated Press has called the race here in Massachusetts. The polls closed at 8 o'clock. Just a few minutes ago, we found out that former Vice President Joe Biden will be the winner. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders in second, and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren in third place tonight. So, of course, along with Massachusetts, one of those 14 states to go to the polls was Vermont, and CBS 6's Steve Magiri joins us live from the state now with the latest on the coverage from there. Steve, good evening to you.
Good evening, JT. It was much more of a landslide here in Vermont. Senator Bernie Sanders, as we know, had handily won over his opponent in the presidential primary back in 2016. And now here in 2020, let's go to the graphics. These are the most up-to-date info from the AP. 94% are reporting right now it has Bernie Sanders at a comfortable lead at 51%. Right behind him is Joe Biden at 22%. And we're standing outside of the Bennington Firehouse. This is one of two polling locations here in Bennington County, and throughout the day, it was a busy day for voters. Bernie Sanders voted in the primary in Burlington, Vermont. His home state granted him a landslide victory in the 2016 Democratic presidential primary. 4 years later, he's projected to win the Green Mountain State once again. 1,353 of those votes for the Vermont senator came from the town of Bennington. The town clerk says less people voted in this year's Democratic presidential primary than in 2016. She says Vermont is a flexible state for voters since they don't need a reason to vote through an absentee ballot.
They can just choose to, I don't want to deal with the crowds, I don't want to deal with parking, I don't want to worry about whether it's going to snow that day.
Dwaylen DeBoer got here right as the polls were closing. She says she had to vote absentee in 2016.
I was out of the country, yeah.
Oh. She says she didn't have a reason to vote through an absentee ballot this year, but didn't have an excuse to not go to the polls herself.
It's on the calendar. It's fine. I knew I'd be here, so it takes the same amount of time whether you're here or there.
And again, not many were surprised that Bernie Sanders would win his home state of Vermont. Back in 2016, he secured 86% of the votes, and he still has a very comfortable lead with almost all precincts reporting. CBS News, in fact, had actually declared Bernie Sanders as the winner just moments after the polls closed here in Vermont at 7 p.m. Live in Bennington, Steve Magiri, CBS 6 News.
All right, thanks very much, Steve. Of course, we had to wait here in the wind and the rain a little bit longer for the final results in Massachusetts. So we mentioned that 14 states went to the polls today for Super Tuesday. Along with those 14 states, American Samoa voters also weighed in. Mike Bloomberg won that state. There was a total of 6 delegates available in American Samoa, but Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard actually took one of those delegates because she finished second in American Samoa. So what does that mean? That means that she could soon be on a debate stage once again. We haven't heard from the Congresswoman in quite some time. It also shows just how important each one of these delegates are. So again, we're going to wrap it up here from a windy and rainy Massachusetts, where Joe Biden can claim one of several victories tonight. Liz, back to you in the studio.
We will let you get out of that rain right now. JT, good job to you and Steve, and we'll see you back here at the station. We're going to dig a little deeper now into some of tonight's key races. Once again, this Super Tuesday is shaping up to be a strong night for former Vice President Joe Biden's campaign. Right now, though, California is looming as the big prize, and the Associated Press is projecting that Bernie Sanders will be the big winner, although exact numbers are still being calculated. Heading a little further east to Colorado, it appears that Sanders has secured the win in the Mile High State. There are 67 delegates up for grabs in that state. Mike Bloomberg and Biden neck and neck for second and third. And in the delegate-rich state of Virginia, the former vice president easily won and will end up with most of the 99 delegates up for grabs there, with 100% reporting. Interestingly, the exit polls showed that Biden's support came from voters looking for the candidate that they thought had the best chance of beating President Trump. So here's where things stand overall right now. As we said, 14 states total voting tonight. Joe Biden projected to win Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Minnesota, Virginia, and Massachusetts. Bernie Sanders projected to win Vermont, Colorado, Utah, and California. The states that are still too close to call are Texas and Maine. And as you saw on that graphic, Super Tuesday not going the way that former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg would have liked. A source close to Bloomberg's campaign is telling the Associated Press that he's actually planning to reassess his plans tomorrow. Bloomberg spent more than $500 million on his presidential campaign, but today marked the first elections where he was actually on ballots. Former Vice President Joe Biden won the key states, as you saw, like Virginia, North Carolina, where Bloomberg had spent millions of dollars and campaigned heavily. And although New York State voters don't get their chance to vote until the end of April, millions are still watching the Super Tuesday numbers closely. Students at the University of Albany gathered at a cafe in the campus center to watch the results in real time. The event was organized by the Rockefeller College of Public Affairs, which has been organizing events throughout this election cycle. The center provided students with ballots and a chance to predict and debate themselves about the winners.
I think that because the campus is so diverse, the expectations of the candidates is also very different for students. So some of them are very hard supporters of Bernie Sanders, while others on a staff of Elizabeth Warren, actually campaigning for her, both in New York and other states.
The students were rewarded with prizes for their accurate projections. CBS 6 has comprehensive coverage of the race for the White House on Twitter. You can find all of our Vote 2020 stories on CBS6Albany.com. And you can also follow this station and our news team on Facebook and Twitter. Our Super Tuesday coverage continues, the latest from around the country, and a brutal attack aboard a bus. How an officer has found the strength to return to the line of duty following an assault. There is other big news besides Super Tuesday. Developing tonight, the country continuing to prepare for the spread of coronavirus. Washington state remains the epicenter of the nation's outbreak, with 9 people dead. Now, most of those deaths have been at a nursing home outside Seattle. The head of the FDA says a private company is close to shipping out thousands of kits to labs across the country in order for states to test. Back here in New York, a second person has been diagnosed with coronavirus. The governor providing some context to that today.
We have a case in Westchester, a 50-year-old gentleman who did not travel to any of the places that are on the quote-unquote watch list.
Governor Cuomo says that the man did not travel to a country facing a serious spread of the virus, but does have a respiratory condition that puts him at risk. New tonight, we now know the name of the victim in a hit and run yesterday in DeFriestville. Police say 61-year-old Lama Lupiku was actually struck by several cars on North Greenbush Road. Police have also begun to clarify just what happened. They say 2 people have now come forward to identify themselves as possible operators of the vehicles traveling southbound on North Greenbush Road who struck Lupiku. Both apparently said they knew they hit something, but did not suspect at first that it had been a person. Police say that they are cooperating with the investigation, and the police also have said that since the driver of the first car to strike Lupiku stayed at the scene, he kept his role in the accident quiet at first, but they also say he is cooperating with them, and the investigation is continuing. The governor of Tennessee confirmed tonight that 25 people are now dead and hundreds injured after a devastating tornado cut a swath through a 145-mile stretch of central Tennessee, including a 10-mile path right across downtown Nashville. At least 18 of the dead, including several children, were in Putnam County. The EF3 tornado, with winds of up to 160 miles an hour, ripped through overnight, and ever since, search and rescue teams have been working feverishly to locate anyone who may still be trapped. There are crushed vehicles everywhere. Interstates have been shut down. Schools have been closed for the week, and tens of thousands of people without electricity. The farmers market in the city has been set up as a shelter for residents with nowhere to go. One twister tore through downtown Nashville, leaving two of its trendiest neighborhoods in shreds. Even Super Tuesday voting was affected, with polls relocated and times pushed back. Those who did weather the storm say it was fierce.
It sounded like gunshots going off. We heard the windows blowing in.
So running down the hallway, the ceiling is just caving in, just debris everywhere.
The governor of Tennessee has declared a state of emergency. President Trump will visit the area on Friday to survey the damage.
Fast-moving rain with strong gusty wind for some of us now in the process of moving out of Bennington and Berkshire counties. So let me show you the radar here. That line segment responsible for some locally very strong gusts in the Mohawk Valley capital region. Now moving through the North Adams area. In fact, east of North Adams, down to Windsor. It's kind of coagulated into this blob-like structure, so it's not linear like it used to be. So the suggestion is maybe the wind potential is going down, but it is in the process of moving away, and in fact, the back edge of the rain basically right on the New York, Massachusetts and Vermont border. So it is kicking out. Here's live instant Doppler 6 to kind of give you the wider overview. A couple of light showers still left in Columbia County, and the heavier downpours in northern Berkshire, southeastern Bennington County in the process of moving out very, very quickly. So from this point on, we're going to be kind of windy tonight, but for the most part dry. Now, there could be a couple of snow showers cropping up in the Adirondacks towards daybreak, but for the rest of us, generally dry tonight. Check out some of the gusts, 60 miles per hour at Schenectady. Peak gust on our Freihofer's weather instruments there. It's starred because that weather station's 100 feet off the ground. It's on the roof of the MVP building, so not necessarily representative of the gust strength at the ground, but certainly treetop level. Amsterdam's also our report 57. That instrument's 35 feet off the ground, and that's about where we measure wind, so pretty accurate there. Sprakers, New York State Mesonet site 56, Hessville 45, Troy came in at 40, and Albany came in at 39 miles per hour as that line segment of heavy rain moved through. Things again quieting down. Downtown Albany, Freihofer sky camera view. Cooler now, but not cold. Temperature 44. Nice clear picture. Means dry weather has returned. Here's the cold front in the process of going through the capital region. Wind shifting into the west. A little bit of a low right now, but I think we'll steadily pick up with time tonight. Probably gusting in excess of 30 as we get closer to daybreak. So you can see how quickly the system's been moving through. A couple of spotty showers back in here again could turn into those snow showers for the Adirondacks towards daybreak. Rest of us, though, dry. 40s Hudson Valley east into western New England. We're 30s now Gloversville to Richfield Springs and Oneonta. So expect a cooling trend, but really not getting too cold tonight. Mid to high 30s by morning for most of us. Some low 40s mid-Hudson Valley and upper 20s in the Adirondacks, where again there will be some of those snow showers. 40s to even 50 in the mid-Hudson Valley tomorrow. So no 63 like we had today, but still above average for this time of the year. Windy though, gusting upwards of 40. So that'll take the edge off these temperatures some. And we should get at least partial sunshine. There are the snow showers for the hills. 1 o'clock, most spots dry. Notice late though, kind of a blossoming of some snow showers for the hills, maybe a few raindrops for the valleys. A little upper level disturbance swings through. Really won't amount to much, just some spotty activity, which will kick out on time to give us a pretty nice day Thursday. Thursday looks good. Lighter wind, bright skies, and temperatures in the 40s. Then Friday, big coastal storm passes to our east. Going to take a lot of the moisture out to sea with it, but enough of a disturbance coming in from the west to kind of cloud us up and give us a chance for some elevation snow valley rain. This would be the second half of Friday into Friday night, and potential that the mountains could get a couple of inches of snow. Probably not much for the valleys because temperatures will probably be too warm, but it is still a watcher for maybe some very light accumulations for the hills coming up late Friday into Friday night. It's gone by the weekend though. Saturday's the chilly day near 40, and that's really not even that cold for this time of the year. Then back to 50 or better Sunday, in the 50s, maybe a couple of spots, 60 on Monday with showers likely on Tuesday. And that's your 7-day forecast. Stay with CBS 6. We're back after the break.
CBS 6 on the scene of breaking news right now. A stabbing under investigation in the city of Troy. This is a live picture. You can see police are still on the scene. This all happening at the Martin Luther King Apartments. They are on Eddy Lane. Police tell us the victim is an adult man who suffered some serious injuries. He was taken to the hospital. This is an active investigation. No arrests have yet been announced. We will, of course, continue to bring you the latest information. Again, a stabbing tonight on Eddy Lane in Troy. A Colony police officer is sharing his story with CBS 6 News after being brutally attacked last month aboard a CDTA bus. Investigator Brian Curran responded to a call on Central Avenue for an intoxicated man on the bus who they said was urinating and spitting at the bus driver. Police say surveillance video showed Jerson Vargas slamming Curran's head into the wall and floor of the bus multiple times.
We deal with those type of calls all the time. I spent most of my career on midnights, so I'm kind of used to dealing with intoxicated subjects. I never thought that it would end up being like this.
Police say Vargas faces multiple charges, including felony assault and criminal possession of a drug. He was arraigned and made bail. Coming up, an unforgettable moment to start the UAlbany Vermont basketball game, how both sides came together to honor a senior.
And now, Upstate Sports Edge.
In 2019, Bethlehem Ice Hockey had a target on its back as the defending Section 2 champs. That didn't slow down the Eagles. Bethlehem repeated with a 4-2 win over Shenendehowa in the finals. In 2020, Bethlehem still hasn't slowed down. The top seed is aiming for the rare three-peat. Saratoga Springs nearly beat Bethlehem in the regular season meeting, but came up just short 3-2. The Eagles sport a 2-1 lead in the third period. Justin Shanelli is responsible for both Bethlehem goals. Give him the hat trick. The Section 2 Player of the Year gives the Eagles a 3-1 advantage. Toga is getting plenty of looks in the third, but Michael Kurzolik is literally bending over backwards in net. The league's top goaltender is keeping the Blue Streaks at bay for now. Toga has pulled his goalie in desperation. Off of the rebound, Andrew Blanchard delivers. The Blue Streaks are only down 1 with 2:20 left in regulation. But Bethlehem does not blink. The Eagles hold on for the three-peat, 3-2 the final.
It's insane, especially these last two when I've been playing. They've just been absolutely crazy. You know, there's really things that that's not going to happen again in your life, and this is one of them.
It's what we worked hard for all off season long. You know, these guys, they work hard for everything we've earned so far. And next up is regional, so we got to keep it going.
In high school boys basketball, the AA finals are set. The top seeds, Shenendehowa and Green Tech, will play for the sectional title on Saturday. Who had Waterford reaching the finals in their Class C bracket? The 11th seed will try to complete the Cinderella run against Lake George. On the girls' side, Mechanicville upsets top-seeded Chalmont. The Red Raiders will face McKeel Christian in the championship game. And in Class C, Cambridge is the real deal. The Indians thump Burn Knox by 48. Second-seeded Maple Hill advances after surviving Hoosick Valley in overtime, 49-45. Tonight is the final night of the regular season for America East basketball. Vermont has already locked up the conference regular season title. Meanwhile, UAlbany has dropped out of the top 4 after losing 4 consecutive games. The Great Danes need a win tonight in Burlington, plus some help to land a home game in the conference tournament. Here's the best thing you'll see today. On senior night for the Catamounts, senior Josh Spidell gets to play in his first collegiate game. Spidell was a highly touted recruit in high school before a car accident put him in a coma with a traumatic brain injury. On Vermont's opening possession, it's Spidell. What a moment for the heart and soul of the UVM program. UAlbany's Ahmad Clark is putting the team on his back early. The senior scores 8 of the Danes' first 12 points, but UA simply can't keep up. Former Colony star Isaiah Powell scores 5 points in a UVM win. UAlbany drops to the 7th seed for the conference tournament. The Danes will play at Stony Brook this Saturday in the quarterfinals.
All right, Chet, thanks very much. We want to remind you that you can continue to follow us online on social media and on our website for Super Tuesday coverage. Here's what we know as we go off the air. Joe Biden projected to win Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Minnesota, Virginia, and Massachusetts. Bernie Sanders projected to win Vermont, Colorado, Utah, and delegate stronghold California. The states that are too close to call, Texas and Maine. Sanders has a small lead in Texas. Biden has a lead in Maine. That's it for now. Good night.